So your test item on Friday is going to look exactly like this, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Okay? So let's go ahead and factor this. I said that the first step that you have to take is go ahead and draw the big X. Okay? And then I said the AC unit goes on top of the building. And it's different these days because modern buildings, they have the AC unit on the side. But anyhow, this is A, this is B, and this is C. Okay? So if AC goes on top, what number do you think should go on the top? It's 1 times negative 14. So it would be negative 14 that goes on the top. What number would be going at the bottom? Negative 5. So now we're looking for two numbers over here. One here and one there. Which two numbers can we multiply to get negative 14 and add to get negative 5? Okay, so to figure this out, a lot of people have a difficult time, right? And so this is what most people do. First, you have negative 14, and then you come up with a factor tree, right? And when you come up with two numbers that you need to multiply to get negative 14, the first thing you're going to do is start with 1. 1 times what is going to be negative 14? Yeah, so let's not think about the symbol right now. Let's just think in terms of positive numbers. So 1 times 14 is going to be 14. But when you try and add or subtract 1 and 14 together, there is no way you're going to get a negative 5. So then, you know what you're going to do? You're going to move on to the next number. What is the number after 1? 2. So now let's say 2 times what is 14? 7. So if I add 2 and 7 together, it's going to be a 9, but I have a negative 5. If I subtract them though, 7 minus 2 actually ends up being 5, and I know that all I have to do now is play with the symbols, right? So when I multiply two numbers and I get a negative number, that means one of them has to be what? A negative. So then what do you think would be negative? If it's negative 2 times 7, I will get negative 14. But negative 2 plus 7 is positive 5. And I want a negative 5, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this. And then I'm going to put a negative 7 right here. And so I know now that negative 7 times 2 is negative 14. And negative 7 plus 2 is negative 5. Okay? And so here's the very next step that is very important that we're going to learn today. This is a 1, so we got to make sure that we put our fraction form with 1 on top. And at the bottom, we have to put the negative 7 and the 2. Okay? And we look at our fractions now. Can we simplify our fractions? No, because obviously 1 is on top, right? And so a lot of students skip this step, but that's because you're used to seeing the 1 over here. On the test this Friday, I'm going to give you a coefficient, and that's what we're going to be learning today. That is new. Up until here, we're reviewing, okay? So there you go. What letter are we playing with, guys? X. On the test, you could have an X, you could have an H, you could have a P, okay? So it's really important that you first figure out which letter you're playing with. And now that you understand that you're playing with the letter X, you're going to open up your two parentheses. And then you're going to put your x up here, so it's x minus 7, and then x over here, so it's x plus 2. And here is your factored form. Okay? Thumbs up if you get it, class. All right, so what I want you to do now is I want you to go ahead and give me the answer for number 2 on the board, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this screen up on the board, okay? Ready? Go. Okay, so there you go. This is more like the actual test item, okay? Now we went up a level. What is the difference between item number 1 and item number 2? Yes? Yes, good job. So we did not have the 3 in front of the x squared before, did we? Right? So now we actually have what's called a leading coefficient, right? Okay, so there you go. But we do the same exact steps, okay? Somewhere in the packet, yes. Okay, so then the work is not though. You know that, right? You gotta take good notes. So first you start off with the big X, okay? And I said AC goes on top. So what do you think goes on top looking at those numbers over there? -2. No? No? So I said AC, what is A? 3. And what is C? -2. So what's 3 times -2? -6 goes on top. So you see this is one level up. It's the exact same process, but it's just that question number 1 had a 1 in front of the x squared, right? And now we have a 3. So I said AC. So A times C is 3 times negative 2. Negative 6 goes up there. What goes at the bottom?
3.
Really?
3.
It would be the 1. What is in front of the X?
I got it right.
In front of the X is a 1. If you don't see anything, that's a 1. Okay? So then now we're going to do the same thing. So I have a factor tree with the 6 on top. I'm going to start with 1. 1 times 6 is 6. But 1 plus 6 or 6 minus 1, I cannot get a 1 down here, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do next, what is 1 greater than 1? 2. So I'm going to start with 2. 2 times what is 6? 2 times 3 is 6, right? Okay, but then if I combine 2 and 3 together, I get either a 5 or a 1, right? Am I right? But we have a negative 6, which means one of the two numbers have to be a negative. Which one do you think should have to turn into a negative? Yes, the 2 has to be a negative because negative 2 plus 3 is a positive 1. And so we know that we're going to put negative 2 here and 3 over here. Because when we multiply these two numbers together, negative 2 times 3 is negative 6, and negative 2 plus 3 is 1. You see that? Okay. So now we're going to do our next step, which is very important now. We have to do the fraction bar. And what do I have to put on top?
1.
What do I have to put on top? It was 1 before, but what do I have to put now?
3.
Yes, good job. My A is 3, so I have to put 3 on top. What do I have to put at the bottom, guys? Good job, Samantha. I have to put the negative 2 and the 3, okay? Because those are the two answers that I got. Now tell me, look at the fractions. Can you simplify anything?
No.
Yes, you can. You can simplify what? The 3 over 3. The 3 and 3 can both be divided by 3. Therefore, you're going to get 1 over 1. Thumbs up if you get it so far. Good job, babies. Okay. So then, now, which letter are we playing with? Ready? Go. What letter are we playing with? What letter are we playing with? X. We're playing with X, okay? So we're going to put X on top, and we have our two parentheses, and that'll be 3x minus 2 and x plus 1. And there you go. We have our factored form. So now I'm going to give you a similar question, and I want you to practice and give me the answer using these steps. Ready? Go. All right, so the similar question that I gave you for number 3, the correct answer, in case you're wondering, for the factored form is 2x plus 5 times x minus 6, okay? So please make sure that you understand this, okay? I'm going to do one more question, okay, with you. What do you think? Should I show you how to do number 3 and give you another problem and then move on to the vertex form, or should we go straight to the vertex form?
Show us how to do work.
So let me just show you how to do number 3, and then I'll give you another similar question, and I'll leave you with that, okay? So for question number 3, what you have to do is draw the big X. 2 times negative 30 is negative 60 on top, and you're supposed to put negative 7 at the bottom, right? And so you're looking for factors of 60. 1 times 60 is 60, but 1 and 60 cannot make what? I cannot make a negative 7. So then I'm going to go with 2 and 30, but that also cannot make a negative 7. What about 3 and 20? Nope. What about 4 and 15? Nope. What about 5 and 12? Yeah, because 12 take away 5 is 7, okay? But I don't really want positive 7. I want a negative 7, right? Because I have a negative 60, I know one of the two numbers have to be negative. Because negative times a positive is a negative, right? So first of all, let me just put 12 and 5 because I know those are my two answers. But one of them is a negative. Now, when I look down here, I see a negative. Okay? If my answer is a negative, the bigger number has to be what? A negative. So the bigger number is 12, and so that's why that is a negative, right? Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to draw our fraction bar. This is a very important step that you should not be missing. What number goes on top? Yeah, your A is a 2 right here. Right here. That's your leading coefficient, right? So you're going to put a 2 on top. And then at the bottom, what are you going to put? you're going to put your two answers, the negative 12 and the 5. Okay? So there you go. Let's go ahead and put the negative 12 and the 5. Can you simplify this fraction? Yes, you can. The 2 over 12 can both be divided by 2, which is 1 over negative 6. Now let's take a look. Which letter are we playing with? The x's, right? Okay. So then we're going to put the x on top. Okay? So then it's going to be in 2 parentheses, x minus 6 and 2x plus 5. Now, is it okay if I put 2x plus 5 at the front and x minus 6 at the back? Yes, it is. Okay? There's nothing wrong with that. All right? So, there you go. I hope you really understand this. As long as you understood how to do the very beginning ones, this should be fine. I'm going to leave you with another question just because I feel uncomfortable leaving you like this. And I don't know what the number is, so I'm going to just put a star. Okay? And so your next question is going to be to factor 4x squared minus 17x minus 15. Okay? And then I'm going to just leave you with this, okay? Because I have to move on to the next, which is the vertex form. So really quickly, I want you to go to page 30. Uh-oh. I want you to go to page 34. My bad. So in order for you to pass the test, you need to be able to solve every single question on page 35 all the way to the back. Okay? If you can do all of them, then you're going to get an A on the test. Okay? So there you go. Now let's take a look at page number 34. Look at question numbers 20 all the way through 25. And they give you stuff, right? And they are already in vertex form. This is question number 20 on page 34 of your textbook, okay? And question number 20 says, y is equal to... And then the very first question says v, right? And so you know what that means? That is asking you, what is the vertex, okay? So then we already learned this for the previous test, right? So tell me, what is the vertex? Just looking at this. No, see, this is where you got everything wrong. The negative 4 is correct. But what are you supposed to put for your x value? I said you cannot put the 2. What did I say you got to put? I said you got to switch the symbol and put a negative 2. Why did I say that that's a negative 2? Because of the formula. The formula is y is equal to 8 times x minus h squared plus k. And you got to remember that the h and the k is your vertex. H comma k is your vertex. Because part of the formula has a negative in it, okay? If you see a plus 2, this is the same as what? This is the same as x minus negative 2, isn't it? So don't forget that part of the formula is a minus right here. So then what is my h now? A negative 2. That's why you got to switch the symbol every single time. So then now let's take a look at question number 21. And y is equal to negative 3 times, right? X plus 6 squared plus 3. So what is the vertex on this one then? Ready? Go. What is the vertex on this one? There's nothing to copy. It's all in your textbook. Huh? Negative 6, comma 3. Absolutely. That is your vertex. Negative 6, comma, positive 3. Are we good?
Where do you get negative 6 positive 3? What negative 6?
So now let's move on to number 22. Okay? And so your number 22 says y is equal to 2 times x minus 1 squared minus 8. Okay? So then what is your vertex for this one? Based on what I just told you. Huh? Good job, Samantha. It's 1 comma negative 8. And that is your vertex. Because again, this is your formula. So your A is... So there you go. Your A is what? Your A is 2. Your x is x, and then your minus is the minus here, and your h is what? The positive one. That's why you have your positive one here. And your k is the whole thing, which is the negative 8. So again, this question is number 3 from your homework. And I just want to remind you that this is an item that showed up on your test, okay? So last Friday when you took your test, your question looked like this. It said, find the vertex form. For those of you who don't remember, you had to try and make a square. and then tell me how many surpluses of little squares do you have left, or how many more do you need. Okay, so let's continue on. So finding the vertex form, this is what you had to do, right? So first you looked at the number -6, okay? And then you had to divide it by 2, because that's how many rectangles you had to stick on the right and to the bottom, okay? So this is what you did. You put x squared minus 6x, and then and then what you did was you divided the 6 into 2, okay? And then you got -3. And then to figure out how many little squares you need, you had to actually square it. And that gave you a +9. Okay? So then in order for me to create a perfect square, what that meant was I had to randomly add 9 into this equation. However, that's not okay, because now you're changing the equation without anybody's permission. And people get upset over that, you know? Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and subtract the 9 because we randomly added the 9. And then what do we have to remember? Part of the equation was what? The +10. So I'm going to add the +10. All right? So then let me first take care of the part in the parentheses. The parentheses was a what? It was a perfect square. And a lot of you drew the square for me. And basically that square looked like this. X, the big square, with 3 negative sticks on the side and at the bottom. Okay? And that was how the square looked like. But then, after that, how many extra did we have left? Well, -9. -9 plus 10 is what we had to do next. And a lot of you got this question wrong on the test because you didn't know how to add correctly, which is kind of sad. Use a calculator. I never said you cannot use a calculator. So -9 plus 10 is +1. And here is my vertex form. Okay? So then let me ask you to answer question number 5 in your homework, which was find the vertex form for number 3 and 4. What is the vertex? What is the vertex for this one right here? Ready? Go. Oh no. Are you serious? Good job. 3, 1 is your vertex. So I want you to know that there is a difference between vertex form. Okay? This is vertex form. The equation is vertex form. The vertex is a point, okay? So if I were to draw a graph, okay, it's going to look like this. And my vertex is going to be at, this is going to be 3. And this is going to be 1. That is my vertex. So I want you to understand that my vertex is a point in parentheses, okay? This equation, the vertex form right here, this vertex form is the graph, okay? So vertex form means the equation for the graph, and the vertex means the little dot. Where is the little dot? I want you to know the difference between the two. So now is your turn to now do number 4 from your homework, which you already should have the answer for if you did your homework. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause and I'm just going to go around and check your answer for number 4. I want you to give me the vertex form and the vertex. Okay? Ready? Go. Okay, so guys, let me give you the answer for question number 4. Again, please be responsible for your own learning. I gave you homework and I only saw that 2 people did it. Okay? So you have to find the vertex and the vertex form for this equation. And the answer was x plus 5 squared minus 21. Okay? And then your vertex was at -5, -21. Please check your answer. I want to remind you that the difference between the vertex form and the vertex form is the equation for the graph, okay? And the vertex is pretty much the point, okay? Just like over here, the vertex, the coordinate for the point is the vertex, okay? Now, we have to level up because on Friday when you take the test, I'm not going to give you easy ones like number 3 and 4. I'm going to give you something with a leading coefficient. So there's going to be one more step added. Okay? Let's go. Okay, so then this is the kind of question that you're going to get on the test this Friday, right? Shh. So in order for you to find the vertex form, here's the big problem, okay? I want to create a big square, but guess what? How many of the big x squares do I have? I got 3 of them, right?
Yeah.
So then I'm going to make 3 big squares, okay? So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pull out the 3 so I could just focus on 1 square at a time, okay? So there you go. This is what I'm going to do. Pull out the 3, okay? So that means I'm going to divide everything by 3, right? So that will be x squared minus 4x and plus 10. So that is the one extra step that you have to take. Okay? So then, okay, let me pause right here. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and erase this part, okay? Because I just have to divide the 3 off of the x squared and the negative 12x, right? And then I'm going to put the plus 30. Now after this, it's going to be the exact same steps, right? So we have to complete the square over here. So x squared minus 4x. And when you divide the negative 4, it's negative 2. And then you gotta square it. So you're gonna now have to add 4. Since you randomly added the 4, now you gotta take away the 4. But you gotta remember that it is inside the parentheses. So you gotta multiply that with the 3 and the 4. So you actually added 12. So now you're going to subtract 12. And then don't forget that you had a plus 30 over here. So there you go. It's 3 and then x minus 2 squared. And then if you add these two parts, you're going to get 18. So what is your vertex form? It's going to be this. But then what is your vertex? 2, 18. There you go.